You dumb. Why would you follow the guy that called Bitcoin a scam in 2013 and said it was going to die like online gaming? What? He didn't even delete the tweet. So it's funny, all the scammers that have me blocked. You're like, geez, maybe they should have followed me and taken my advice and they could have won. Instead, they just get to watch me win. And the people that listened. So I think crypto will, my guess is that crypto will bottom before stocks. And then we will have the golden bull run. I don't think Bitcoin's bottom was 15,400. I think it goes to 11K. I don't think Ethereum's bottom was 880. I think it goes deeper, 600, 300. And Hex is interesting. We've never really been correlated with any of these things. And I don't know if we are now. I don't know. I mean, people forget this, but when Bitcoin dropped 55% from 65K down to whatever, 28K, Hex went up 30x during that same time period. That's a 60x difference. That's massive decorrelation. And that was a year and a half ago. I guess maybe, I mean, Bitcoin top was like a year and a half ago. And then if we decorrelated for that while, maybe it was like a year ago. I'd have to go check the chart. So Hex has a history of being decorrelated. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, just recently, Hex went up 50%, I think, in the last week. And I think it did it while everything else was pretty flat. So check the charts. I think that it was an accident. Well, if it's the bear market and all everyone does is press sell, then okay, everything's going to go down. But the last time it was a bear market and everything else was going down, Hex went up 30x, and that's a lot of X. So I don't want people to think that Hex is correlated unless there's really good evidence for it. And we know we have really good evidence of decorrelation. And there's people that publish charts on this. Like, there's mathematical formulas you can use to see whether something's really correlated or not. What else? Yeah, so if we can get cryptocurrency adopted, governments will not be able to go to war with what they stole from the citizens.
Well, Bitcoin was given for free to me because I double-clicked an exe on my computer. Free Bitcoin would pile into my computer. No pools, 50 Bitcoin block rewards per block. Then XRP was given for free to Bitcoin holders. XLM was given for free to Bitcoin holders. Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Rhodium, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Diamond was given for free to Bitcoin holders. Hex was given for free to Bitcoin holders. So this concept of making a coin and giving it out for free to people is very well established. We've got 1inch was given to 1inch users. Uni was given to Uni users, Uniswap. GRT was given to Gitcoin users. Fox was given to all kinds of people. Yeah, and so I'm making Pulse. And I'm going to give Pulse out for free to whoever I want. And whoever I want just happens to be people that donated to the Sense Foundation for medical research to save all our lives. They get credited 75%, but it's also tax deductible. Now, why is it tax deductible? Because you're not buying anything from them. If they were selling you something, it wouldn't be tax deductible. But because you're just donating your money and getting nothing in return, and side channel someone else is viewing that you did that and giving you some free stuff, you can get a tax deduction.
So everything. So I just and for the record, I just went and sacrificed some tokens for some Pulse and a pretty sizable amount.
You got to be specific here because there's laws involved. So a security is where you give money to a common pool with the expectation of profit solely from the work of others. And that's a regulated activity. And you have to file an S1 or get a Reg D or Reg A plus or an exemption so that you don't have to file an S1. Or you could structure your business so that it is not a security. So what you did, if you gave to the Sens Foundation, congratulations, you are supporting medical research. If you sacrificed at pulse.info, pulsechain.com, pulse.info, then you're supporting free speech. So you want to make the statement that speech is a protected human right, and you believe blockchains are free speech, and that enters you into the sacrifice set, and then people can look at the sacrifice set and airdrop them free things if they wish, and one of those free things is going to be Pulse, and it is going to launch at zero value. Why? Because otherwise you'd have a taxable event. Because when you get an airdrop, you owe tax. So would you prefer to have a tax bill and get an airdrop with a lot of value? Or would you prefer that it has no value when you receive it? And then maybe, if it appreciates one day, you get capital gains, just like Satoshi. He only owes a tax when he sells or does something else.
One of the things that I thought about in terms of money is that like money tends to one. Like there tends to be a convergence on society as a store of value. So do you see this competing with Bitcoin? Again? There seems to be like a convergence with society on a most efficient money, like gold, right? The world converged on.
Nope, that's not true. It's not true at all. Originally, we had sound money. It was backed by metals. Then it was backed by crappier metals. So they switched from gold to silver. Then it was backed by nothing. They like to say it's backed by guns. But if it was backed by guns, the value would be going up, not down, because we got more guns. Doesn't make any sense. So this concept of fiat currencies, of which all have gone to zero over time.
Right.
It's only a 50-year-old experiment that happened with the Nixon crisis, where he just depegged, he broke the Bretton Woods Agreement and just depegged the dollar from gold. It was like, lol. And you can see it on every chart. So like there's a website called WTF Happened in 1971, and you see every financial chart get totally wrecked in 71 or 72 or 74, some early 70s number. And, you know, so this idea that like society converges on money, not true. No evidence for that whatsoever. This idea that there will be a winner take all in currency, also, nope. No evidence for that whatsoever. Bitcoin goes to all-time highs when alts go to all-time highs. What do you think the most commonly purchased thing that people buy with their Bitcoin is? Alts. What do you think the most cool thing you can buy with Bitcoin is? Alts. What do you think outperforms Bitcoin into oblivion and has more features and more price performance and more security? In the case of Hex, Hex is more secure than Bitcoin. Hex is more secure than Bitcoin. You like secure money? Hex is more secure. I can explain it to you if you don't want to just accept the premise.
You see these things coinciding. You don't see like one thing competing for a world reserve currency in terms of Hex or Bitcoin. You see both of these appreciating over time as people adopt. But you see Hex as a more efficient form of money, like a more efficient Bitcoin.
It is.
Right.
It's more secure. It has less negative externalities. It has more features. It will soon operate on more than one chain with Pulse chain launching. You'll have eventually encapsulated hex stakes on other chains as well. We live in a multi-chain world now. I mean, there's just like Bitcoin. I think Hex went up like 750x versus Bitcoin. Like if you would have bought Hex at January 5th of last year and sold it 3 months ago, you would have been up 750-fold your Bitcoin. So you could have 750x'd your stack of Bitcoin. If you loved Bitcoin so much, you would have sold it for Hex.
Things you mentioned is that with Bitcoin, we don't print money out of thin air because we're mining it, deflationary currency, limited
Oh, no.
supply,
One, it's not. No, none of what you said is true. That's all entirely false. Bitcoin is not deflationary at all. It is inflationary. Miners sell Bitcoin. They harm the price. They buy electricity and mining hardware. So Bitcoin's all about decentralization. But in fact, there's only 5 or 6 mining pools that do all of the mining. And there's only 3 or 4 companies that make all of the mining hardware. And those are the people that make all of the money from the mining, because the economic theory that the cost or resources allocated to extract a resource will trend towards and approach asymptotically the value of the resource. And so as the Bitcoin price ratchets up, the wasting and destroying of the environment with electricity, which you could say Bitcoin's 80% renewable. Fine, I used to be a Bitcoin miner. I know exactly how much I paid for my electricity, and I know exactly how much pollution it generated. It wasn't clean energy. So, and then the idea that a decreasing inflation rate is somehow deflation is hilarious. You're getting a less inflation over time, but the value dollar cost of that inflation is higher and higher because the price keeps ratcheting up because they keep on-ramping new users. So people
Now,
always, you get this backwards. You described a cost and a negative externality, which is bad for everybody, bad for the environment, bad for the price, but you think that it's actually a benefit. And so you got to know the difference between a feature, a benefit, and a cost. And Bitcoin mining is a cost that's bad for everybody, and you don't need it anymore. There's tons of proof of stake networks for years, and they've all been less attacked and more secure than proof of work networks.
And that's one of the big arguments that Bitcoin maximalists will have, is that Bitcoin is much more secure. And that is why we have proof of work. Though in the future, once we've mined
less
all
secure.
coins, we expect a transition. What I'm curious, though, for the difference in Hex is that Hex is a proof of stake coin.
Nope.
And we do have a set inflation rate. I believe it's 3.69%. Can you tell me why have any inflation at all then if you're opposed to the mining style inflation in Bitcoin? Because you're essentially saying, hey, the cost of the shovels are going up, so it's becoming more expensive to actually operate the network rather than less expensive, which creates more waste. That's your argument. Why have any inflation then in the Hex coin?
I think we've hit the uncanny valley. So it's like Dunning-Kruger for smart people. Cryptocurrency and trading are two things that have very high skill caps, and then like 130 IQ guys figure that they're good at everything else, so they'll be good at this. But in reality, they're just good enough to be dangerous. So let me clarify some things. First of all, Hex is not proof of stake. It is a hybrid proof of stake, proof of work. We use proof of work on the Ethereum network for transactions, and we use proof of stake just for inflation. Because of that, it's more secure than Bitcoin. Bitcoin's had 2 inflation bugs where anyone could mint as many free coins as they want. One of them was executed on the network in 2010, and they had to roll the chain back because someone minted 184 billion extra free Bitcoin. The same bug, created in a different way, reappeared 2 years ago and was discovered, instead of being exploited, by a Bitcoin Cash developer and responsibly disclosed to the Bitcoin core development team. He could have minted as many free Bitcoin as he wanted as well. And why do we keep getting inflation bugs in Bitcoin? Because it is spaghetti code that is not modular, that has no security audits, that has no written spec, and the wallet code touches the consensus code, touches the networking code. So when you try and improve the network, oopsie, you introduce an inflation bug. It's the most common and vile bug in all of cryptocurrency. XLM has had an inflation bug. Hacker dumped it on the market. Ravencoin had a 10% inflation bug. Hacker dumped it on the market. Bytecoin, Monero, inflation bugs. AVAX, inflation bug. Bitcoin, inflation bugs. You know how you solve inflation bugs? You lock your consensus code in a contract that can never be edited or changed, which is what Hex has done, so that you can improve the network all you want and you don't accidentally introduce an inflation bug. Bitcoin.org was hacked 2 months ago.